Hey, how's it going?
Hey, welcome everyone to another episode of London Calling.
Welcome.
My name is Mariam Hamou, and here's my amazing co-host, Nicholas Saika-Voivod, who has been up to no good, but some good too.
Up to no good?
You're always up to no good.
What are you talking
You're
about?
always up to no good.
I've been a very good boy.
I don't know about that.
Lately.
Okay.
How do you know anything about me? I haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
But I've seen you online, so I can kind of
okay. Well,
I've dipped my whatever.
What are the bases of these inferences you're making? I feel attacked. We're here to take on counsel, not each other.
Okay.
You can make fun of me. Go ahead.
I know.
Go ahead.
No,
I've been a bad boy.
Anyway, this is a podcast about London City Council and the issues on the street in London, Ontario. I am a single mother and a professional children's librarian. And my friend Nicholas here is a designer, musician, bass. And we're both lifelong Londoners. He's a London man. I'm a London woman. And what you saying, Nicholas?
What am I saying? Excited to be here.
Yeah,
it's been quite a few weeks in the city, especially City Hall. It's been some exciting stuff.
It's been crazy, but actually I want to talk a little bit about this podcast because you and I have been arguing about what episode this is, and I don't remember. Can you tell me?
I think...
Is it 8, 6, 7?
I think this is our 8th.
Okay, so we're going to start from 8 today.
Well, I need to check that actually to be sure.
Okay.
Because now as soon as you ask me,
I know, me too.
I'm doubtful. But I think it's 8. I think because our first episode we turned into segments, we hadn't figured out our format yet.
I know.
And the very first stuff we did isn't on YouTube.
No.
Or saved in your...
We're learning as we do.
But I think this is the 8th City Council.
Okay, so this is the 8th City Council.
We missed a couple in the summer, so we've
Yes,
been doing
did.
it for like 6 or 7 months now.
We're on it. We're going to have a year anniversary soon, which is cool. I know. Okay, so then let's get into it. Yeah. Well, here's what's going on in the news right now at City Hall. There's harassment at City Hall. That's been a big topic. This council didn't cover any of it, so I don't even know if we should get into it or not. But we do know that there is some issues between the staff and some of the women that work at City Hall, and I know that it's been an ongoing thing, and I know that it's been going on for at least 10 years. I know that the mayor had put together was
longer than that, I'm sure.
Oh, well, it's been going on for long, but this HR was hired right after the last scandal with Matt Brown and Maureen Cassidy, so I don't know what's gone on with this HR since then.
That was a long time ago.
And this HR was put in by the current mayor, like Mayor Morgan.
Unfortunately, this scandal's a little less spicy and a little more creepy.
Yeah, it is. But, I think it's creepy.
I guess, what's the guy's name again?
Craig Cooper.
Cooper. He's been reinstated recently as of a couple days ago.
This is the problem. I don't know. Nobody's saying anything.
Well, I think that's actually, you're right. That is part of the problem, is that it seems like council was directed by the city not to talk about it, and then Councillor Stevenson broke the hush. Kate Green broke the hush. It's a big mess. Yeah. I'm reticent to get too much into it.
Yeah, and I know Megan Walker has spoken up about it. I know CTV News is big on it. The Free Press and some of the other news sources haven't touched it yet, but I think it's going to get bigger before...
Well, you have a lot of experience at City Hall. What do you think the culture is like there? Do you think it's toxic? Is there a lot of that kind of vestigial, patriarchal... harassment energy? Yeah,
it's everywhere. It's London is just it's pervasive in every single one of our organizations, and if you're not targeting it head on, it grows. So unless HR actually wants to deal with the issue, which is that patriarchy piece of it, then it's just going to keep growing.
Well, I guess, CTV reported on some of the findings of the independent report, although like some of the specific accusations weren't affirmed specifically. Certain aspects of the Mr. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Craig Cooper.
Yeah.
Cooper's behavior was indeed questionable. Like he was like being loud and he was like messaging off of hours. But regardless, I think one of the main problems is regardless of what actually happened. And I do know Kate Green personally back from high school, not very well, but from back then.
Yeah.
What's unfortunate is how the city handled it. Whether like bona fide harassment or just like bad management was happening, they tried to hush it, and they offered her money. Hush money that she turned down.
That's London.
And then they were not supposed to talk about it. And I think, I don't want to talk about it, but I think you're right. Unless it's addressed head on.
It's got to be, this is the thing. HR has to be like, this is an issue in every single department, in every single place, in every single area. And if we don't put the mechanisms in to like reduce it, it's going to keep growing. It's one of those things that unless it's checked head on, it becomes the culture.
I think Miss Green should be commended for coming out and
Absolutely.
because I think she's been basically fired without cause, and now the city's lawyer is trying to argue that she's going to get minimal severance, like the minimal legal allowable severance, because she's arguably in breach of contract for disparaging.
Yeah, they get you.
Her coworkers. It's really vicious.
It's extremely vicious. Again, it favors the people in power, which is this the kind of systems are these the systems we want that favor the people in power, or do we want to favor the people that are vulnerable? That's I think the biggest issue here. And unless you have an HR or a city hall that cares about the vulnerable, that's the culture, and that's going to be the culture in London, and that's what's pervasive everywhere. And even when I was a city councillor, I had 3 to 4 staff members come to me and say, there are things here that you're not seeing. And I remember that. And I remember saying that to the mayor as well, not Ed Holder, but to Mayor Morgan when he was a city councillor. And I couldn't go anywhere with it. So I'm kind of, in a way, I'm glad I'm not responsible at this point, that I'm not a city councillor, because this is like, yeah, it's pervasive. It's London. Like, look what happened at the hospital. Look what's happening. Look what happened at TVDSB. It's at City Hall. I'm sure it's everywhere you look. HR, all the HRs around all the city have to like target this whole culture of I'm the boss. Let's favor the top. Let's make it top heavy. And then like it's the inverted triangle where all the pressure goes back to the person on the bottom, and that person's blamed for everything. That's got to go.
I think the kind of ideal emotional awareness that we would hope from our leadership, usually that kind of standard usually isn't met by anybody. We all have our struggles, and of course there were other claims being made about Mr. Cooper, like unsubstantiated stuff I was hearing online. That,
I don't
some
know.
of it was pretty creepy.
I
mean?
I don't know about that.
It certainly shines a light on the whole issue, and it's
Yeah.
good. I think it's really commendable that Kate Green came out and talked about this, because it's a very serious issue. And there's also, the delicate balance between management and communication in general, whether beyond even just harassment, but even just, that liminal space between professionality and authenticity.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people are very, what's the word? There's authenticity, and then there's this fake authenticity that people put out there.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where that's what's up there. That's what's leading things. It's that fake authenticity piece where they yell at people and say, but that's authentic. But no, that's not. There's a way to treat people. There's kindness. There's rights. There's fairness. And if you're stepping on someone else's rights, then you got something.
Well, it's professionalism. If these people are running the city, you'd hope the people who are running these housing stability programs, big parts of the city budget, are
have a heart,
the most respectful,
to
gender and sex issues, as well as all of the emotional struggles that we have to bear in life. You know what I mean? And especially working in the social
good look at. I know there's a lot of fatigue there and a lot of people, but again, I think I can say so much about this, but we've got to move on.
It was palpable. You could feel it. It was like that mixed with the wage increase. That was the other big thing that they're going to be talking about.
That's exactly it.
It felt so awkward. There's one thing to watch a video, but when you're actually in City Hall watching the council meetings, you can see all the little ideomotor signals, the little sublingual communication, and it's just oh man, it was.
You can see people's eyes looking at each other, where they're going you better support me, or you. But so there's there's an insider baseball going on too. So let's go on. Okay, so the homelessness is still everywhere. I do see that it's a little bit better. Have you seen a change?
In the last 2 years, subjectively?
Even in the last month, because that's how I keep doing it. I'm very incremental in how I'm looking at things. But in the last month, ever since they put it out that they're not accepting the drugs out in the streets, I've seen things getting cleaner.
It always seems to be an ebb and flow with respect to the drug use and the enforcement statements that are released by police. They're it's a constant cycle. But I think the biggest seasonal swing I always see is, of course, toward the winter, where you see a lot less visibility of the unhoused downtown because people are looking toward these warming stations or other places where they can get out of the cold.
Thankfully.
But like the numbers themselves, I know we don't really. Let's stick to the council here. Yeah, like
so
I would agree that things are still kind of slow, but they didn't really talk too much about. They did accept the report executed purchase of service agreement on London Care's homeless response services.
Yeah, so that was the first thing that they did, and
But
that
they
was
didn't discuss it.
And they didn't really discuss it. So that's it. And so then I'm just going through this construction closing. So construction wasn't discussed either, and that's the reason why we have the problem with traffic.
The first two committees they went through without any
so
discussion.
Quickly.
A couple of the points are taken out to vote on, but yeah, they weren't
Those are our big ones.
talked about. It was so funny. This is like a little difficult to follow, but the
Yeah.
funniest happened with the proposed changes to the W12A landfill community enhancement mitigative measures program. Where basically, Councillor Pelosi was like looking to have a section removed and then replaced with like a larger payment cap. And it was just like a larger cap, and basically, she asked to have part of the motion defeated.
Yeah.
And 6 of the councillors misunderstood what she wanted to do, and they almost voted down something that they were supposed to vote up.
But that's how this council goes. Like, okay, go and say what you want, because there's like 3 or 4 other situations like this.
Okay, so the Deputy Mayor Lewis, he like realized after, he's like, oh yeah, I got confused with double negative.
Yeah.
And then Councillor Trossau has also admitted, oh yeah, I voted the wrong way. And now, because I saw before it was happening, I'm like, do they realize they're voting to defeat something?
I know.
And I'm like, are they going to vote the right way? And then when 40% of them, 6 out of 15, vote the wrong way, I'm like, I was looking for the next vote. Okay, so are they going to affirm the new motion? And then 15-0, they affirm it. And these are, so 4 out of 6 of the councillors that voted the wrong way on this little correction also voted for the pay raise.
I know. But they don't even know what they're voting on. Did you?
They may not. Maybe they were trying to vote themselves a pay
loss. But did you hear the conversation about the ARUs and how the plate of the floor, and like the thing is the mayor is allowing all of these discussions to take place where the deputy mayor is like, hey, I've got a point of order here. This doesn't make any sense. You can't do this. This is not logical. There's no evidence in this.
Yeah.
Why? Okay, Mayor Morgan, watch what is going on. Control this. Why does the
he has
mayor,
to let them. They have a certain amount of time.
They do, but he can't. But they can't be just. Look what they're doing. They're mucking everything up. People are confused.
Let's get into this. Because we have to do it piece by piece. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to people. We have to introduce each topic because most people haven't seen it. So. There was a proposal to limit bedroom count in additional residential units. These are the ARUs you're talking about.
Correct.
Right? And they're discussing how much of the floor space should be allowed to be built into these additional units. And the temporary framework that they want to have until next year had it at 80%. And this is what you're talking about, the amendments to amendments, where Ferreira realized that this didn't include near-campus neighborhoods. And even though he asked the city staff, and they responded that there was a different bylaw change with respect to these neighborhoods specifically that was actually more restrictive than this temporary framework. He goes on to try to have that area included in this quote-unquote citywide analysis for these additional residential units. And that's when Mayor Lewis was like, oh, point of order, this is beyond the purview and scope of the original motion.
Exactly. This is the thing, like, okay, it's hard to know every single little bylaw in detail because, the near-campus bylaws are different than the ones that are in his riding and everything are in his constituency, and they're all different. But if you don't know what you're talking about, don't introduce things because that's where it all goes to
It was
hell.
a middling kind of adolescent political move that Ferreira did. It was so like poorly constructed. He was like, well, I might have a motion in mind and I might ask councillors what they think about it. And the mayor's like, well, you only have one opportunity to speak, so if you don't put the motion down now, like you won't be able to speak again. He's like, okay, well then I'll put down the motion. And it was the motion about these the areas adjacent to campus housing, which the city staff had just answered about.
But has nothing to do with him. He's not even in that riding. That's Trossau's riding.
Well, a little bit. I think west of Richmond Row.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's 13. Right here. That's correct.
Yeah, right there.
Right here. And, it just, to me, it's just...
But then, so that was defeated. And then he was like, the GFA, ground floor area percentage for these new units was 80% in this temporary framework. He's like, well, I feel like that's too much. And he's like, I'm going to throw down an amendment. I'm going to offer an amendment to make it 70%. And guess what happens? 2 to 13, he's defeated, just totally decimated.
Do you know why, though?
He should have gone through council.
Yeah.
I mean, through committee. Sorry, do I know why? Yeah, because it was a waste of time, and they already voted that he was like out of order.
Do you know why? Because in construction, they don't have floor plates that big. Like when you're designing a building, like this goes all down to the actual technicalities of a building. He clearly hasn't studied that. The deputy mayor has. He understands the actual little intricacies of these things. And the councillors are pulling out these numbers, as the deputy mayor said, out of their heads, out of their butts, out of their pockets. Whatever it is that have nothing to do with evidence. It's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to have dandelions in the middle of winter? Like these are the ideas that they're coming up with. Well, you know what? You're wasting time. You're wasting life. You're wasting everything.
It's just poorly constructed.
Move on.
And he was almost like kind of like a man boy, how he responded. Like it was one of these things I could see like in council. After he defeated, he kind of sat down like this. And then when Councillor Frank was like trying to move the 80% figure up to 95%, because basically, like, say you had a bungalow, right, and you wanted to put another apartment in the basement through this framework. They're saying, well, 80% of the floor space can be used for the apartment. That keeps like an extra 10% that can be used for the the shared furnace space, this kind of thing. So there are reasons for this. And then there are restrictions on how much buildings can occupy a lot. So like technically, if you had a really big lot and a big house that occupied only a small amount, you could build another house almost the same size under the framework, as long as it had fewer bedrooms and was 80% of the floor area or less.
So then during this discussion, Councillor Trossow tried to bring in something about Committee of Adjustments, which is a committee that I sit on. And he's saying, well, we have to approve these things because the Committee of Adjustment can do whatever they want. Well, listen, Councillor Trossow, again, something that you're pulling out of your pocket. This Committee of Adjustment and Council, they're like this. So you cannot propose legislation that goes above the Committee of Adjustment, and Committee of Adjustment cannot propose legislation that goes above Council. And if you do, it has to go up through the provincial courts. Right. So he's just wasting more time. So
again, he was the other vote on the 70% flippant reduction.
It's insanity.
The 2 to 13. You know, it was so funny, Lewis, after Ferreira was like, okay, well, I'll throw down the amendment on the floor at 70%. Lewis took off his glasses. Did you notice that? And he's like, please,
I know.
Let's vote down this motion. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But it was the classic, the tired teacher who he's just
the thing is with Councillor Lewis and I Deputy Mayor Lewis, as I've known him forever, and he is such a hard worker. He knows every little detail of every little detail.
He seems to be the most knowledgeable.
He's such a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I know, because I sit there. And this guy, I remember during budget season, he spent 80 to 100 hours inside of his office going through every line item. He knows his stuff. He knows.
Yeah, I'm starting to get into that more. I'm starting to read more and more of all the PDFs they attach.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to start going to committee meetings.
They're good.
Because all of them.
You get into it.
Because then you really see what's happening. I don't even think all the councillors go to all the committee meetings.
No, they don't.
So maybe I could be even better informed than that.
Okay, let's keep going, because we're not even into the really good stuff yet.
Right, and there are more things they didn't talk about, the London Economic Development Corporation.
Yeah, the LEDC is awesome. They're doing great work. Honestly, they focus a lot on the agribusiness stuff, which is exactly where they need to focus. They have a mandate. They know what they're doing. And these people, you give them the money, you give them the funding, and then I know them personally. I know.
They get about $8 million a year.
Yeah, Ashley, what's her
They're
last
trying
name?
to attract industrial. It's the kind of stuff that you don't really have a lot of oversight unless you're really in there looking at it. So it's cool that you have this insight. Yeah, you're into it.
Work, yeah. And Christine Wilson, who she also went to Central. I don't know if you know, but she's
Christine Wilton.
Yeah, and she's also been Woodfield forever. I remember because I grew up in Woodfield, so I've known her forever as well. So they're great. They represent the city really well.
Okay, cool. So I think Stevenson voted against that. She wants more metrics reporting. Presumably, that's what she's always saying. saw on her Facebook. Okay, and then there's another thing they didn't talk about. There's the update on Bill 17 Green Development Guidelines Framework. This is another thing I just got voted through that they were talking about before, because London wanted to have its own green framework, and they're wondering whether the proposed bill from Ontario, I guess it is a passed bill now, that would conflict with the city. And I took some quotes. London is lagging behind other cities with voluntary standards. This is something the author B. Samuels states. And then he asked 2 NGO policy experts. I have a couple quotes here.
I love him.
Yeah, you know him?
I know. He's been over to my house. He put the little squares on my house for the birds.
So they're trying to clarify.
Awesome.
They're trying to clarify whether like the city can still have voluntary like green building standards above and beyond the Ontario standards. So they're trying to make everything the same across the province. And one of the NGO, there's still conflicting stuff in this report, so I'm surprised they didn't talk about it more. But I have a quote. I just have to shake my head. I've never, ever heard anyone say that municipalities don't have the authority to enact voluntary standards. And then there's another quote that kind of conflicts with this. Municipalities absolutely have the right authority to set in place voluntary checklist for what it's worth. But they may have to go through OP amendment to enact these green standards through like the minister for approval, like provincial minister. So like it's still, they haven't really figured it out.
No, and this is it. Like there are other things too that I've been asking for a code of conduct for City Hall. So this goes back to whistleblower and Councillor Stevenson. I have been begging. As well. I have been begging for a whistleblower policy, and the person that wants to bring that forward is Councillor Stevenson. And this right here is exactly where we come. This is where it'll have to come through, is this sort of information is through these mechanisms, right? So yeah.
Well, I mean, this is the thing we haven't really talked about, like the elephant in the room, and the last thing they really talked about at any length was the 2025 Council Resourcing Review Task Force final report. This was the pay increase debate. And like I said, it was just cringe to watch it because they're trying to like justify their own existence. In a way, like it makes sense. Councillors are not paid for how much work it is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you should be a very smart, capable, creative person to do that job effectively. But at the same time, you know, my biggest problem with it is I identified what bothers me the most is that the City Hall, City Council, they're responsible for negotiating with staff collective bargaining agreements. And how can they have any sort of moral leverage when we're dealing with inflation?
Elephant in the room, anyway.
Well, I don't know anything. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, what if you are sleeping with that person? It certainly makes it more complicated. You definitely want to pay them more in that case, I would think.
That's why my whole thing with HR and the whole, they need a whistleblower because, I don't know, I mean, I don't even want to talk about my experience. I don't think I will because it's on camera and it might have to go to court. But my experience is that, number one, this pay raise is tone deaf.
Absolutely.
Number two, what they should have argued was the timing of the increase. That 40% or 35% increase at one shot is a big shot. They should have done it incrementally over 8 years or even 4 years, whatever it was. They were like, let's get it, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Too much at one time. And if I was not removed from the committee, that's what I would have told them. That would be one of my recommendations.
Well, what is full-time, Mariam?
Full-time is over, I would say over 40.
Over 37 and a half hours?
Over 37, yeah, but 40 hours. And I mean, again, that's what we're paying for. But these counselors have just pretty much like fired themselves. Well,
a lot of them have changed their vote from the earlier committee, the budget meeting.
Yeah, but
right?
that was
the 70th percentile increase was 9.6.
Right. And so, but it doesn't answer the whole, like, it should have been done incremental. I have no problem with paying these people full-time wages. There
wasn't a lot of good argument. They're either like voting for a referral or against. Nobody was really trying to mend it.
That's not the problem.
They were talking about, should it be at the 60th, 65th? But nobody actually brought up an amendment for it. And that's that was my response. I was like, okay, yeah, they're making less money than they should. And yes, our dollar goes not as far as it used to. However, why not a 12% increase over 4 years? Why not a 16% increase over 4 years? Why 30s?
So I get why they 40% did that. 40%
or whatever. So 30%,
yes. So we want to pay our counselors enough so that they're not, so a single mother or a single father is not struggling. I think that's where we should leave that.
The raise itself was almost as much as the Canadian median income for an individual. So the amount that they raised themselves was close to what the average Canadian makes.
Yes. So that's okay, I think. But they have to put that time in. Okay, but they're a city councillor, and if they're... So this is... Okay, so London is around 1 million people on a weekly basis. Do you not think our council should be...
1 million people? I thought we were
So
like
it is 450,000 people that live here, right? But then when you think about people that are coming in, it's about 1 million people. Do you not think we should be paying our councillors that much?
I should, but like the thing is, like you said, it's tone deaf. They should have done it incrementally.
Yeah.
And because here's another problem. The whole affordable issue is basically being sunk by public sector wages constantly. If you keep on giving public sector wages,
it's the inflation
increases against inflation,
then
you're in a cycle of spending. So this is what I'm talking about, collective bargaining. The city council had to taken a stand. Unfortunately, a few of the councillors did swing their vote, notably, and I'm sure we'll hear about this, but they almost passed to swing. They almost voted to pass severance.
Well, here, this
Ferrer
is the thing.
swung on this one. I guess he's not feeling too confident about next year.
So they did pass their severance or no?
No, they didn't, but it almost passed. It was like one vote.
That, to me, that's the severance. That's the slap in the face right there. It's the severance. And then anyone who voted for this, and even the councillors who didn't, will have a really hard time being reelected.
I remember when I was a kid, councillors made 20, 30K.
But it was
part-time, and I understand the responsibilities of... But I remember my parents explaining to me, I'm like, why do they make so little money? It seems like a lot of responsibility running a city. And they said, well, a lot of these people are already professionals.
Yeah.
They're already successful, and they're stepping up to the plate.
Yeah.
And they're doing their civic duty out of love for the city. And, to his credit, Ferrer spoke to this, and I feel the same way, that, our civil servants, especially in leadership roles, it's so much more important than money, because if you pay those people $300,000 a year or $400,000 like we do with our MPs, this is one of the points I made on my Facebook. Did tripling the MP salary over the last 30 years get better people?
No,
absolutely not.
But the other
now they just try to get their second term for their pensions.
I know, and that's the thing, is that maybe it attracts those types of people. But the other thing I always think about, I travel a lot and I'm in third world countries, and the fact that there are police officers in other countries that are corrupt because they're not being paid enough. That's
also a
thing. Kills me.
But police salaries over the last 20 years reduced corruption over the last 30 years or whatever.
You know what it did? Maybe. I don't know. I think it the culture is still there, but in terms of individual corruption, I think it did reduce it. But the actual culture of policing is just
they raised the education. It's not like back in the old days where it's if you played hockey, you'd get on the firefighter team.
This is what I'm saying.
Now a lot of these
different.
These younger candidates, they all have degrees, social science degrees. They're all, they're educated people.
And it's not just an old boys club anymore. And that's where I think London really lags behind. Is London is kind of this old boys club. It's this little small sit town, but it grew really big, and we still have these little minded, ideas. We're very protectionist, but we have to let go of that a little bit.
Becoming increasingly a cosmopolitan city.
I went to the Sarah McLachlan concert the other night, and they had the Museum London video going, and my sister and I were like, oh my God, it feels like a big city today.
Yeah, I just went to Museum London the other day. There's a new exhibition on the second floor, which was really cool.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of regionalist art. Mid-century of 60s and 70s, as well as, my friend Billy's art is still there.
That's amazing.
And, it was the 4th anniversary of the UNESCO City of Music Award.
Yeah.
And they had Lawrence William, the musical director and the organist of St. Paul's Cathedral, bass baritone.
I heard.
He took that D4 at the end.
Yeah.
So,
you should come to my school when we sing the national anthem. We have this one that's a native. It's got a native. It goes eh-ha, eh-ha at the beginning, and then the kids all just go crazy, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait. That sounds fun. Sign me up.
You gotta come.
Maybe we should lock her down.
All right, let's lock her down.
We love you guys.
All right.
I can only speak for myself, actually.
What's that?
I love you guys.
I love everybody. But I also hate everybody as well.
Oh,
but you know what I mean.
Even me?
No, I don't. You know what I mean.
You love and hate me?
I hate the world, but I love people.